Welcome to Tipsy Technologist, the podcast where we mix real conversations about technology, leadership, and innovation with a drink or two and a lot of honesty. Each episode, we sit down with people who are actually doing the work, building companies, leading teams, and navigating change and figuring out things as they go. Today, I'm excited to welcome someone who truly understands what it means to evolve your career, take risks, and build something meaningful. Katrina is a chemist by training and the co-founder of Artemis Factor. She began her career at Merck, where she worked on major vaccines, including Gardasil, then moved into drug development and commercial project management. After a corporate layoff, Katrina helped turn that moment into momentum, launching Artemis Factor and growing it into a people-first consulting firm, supporting some of the largest names in pharma today. She's built a company rooted in strong execution, thoughtful leadership, and human-centered values. And today, she's here to share her journey, her insights, and maybe a few stories over a drink. Katrina, welcome to Tipsy Technologist.
Finally, Reshma, I'm here.
Yay,
I'm so excited to be here. Cheers.
Oh, sorry, David.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so thank you for coming. Do you like to be called Katrina or do you like to be called Kat? What's your preference?
So what are we on, a Tuesday in December?
Yes.
Call me Kat.
All right, okay, girl. Hey. Well, thank you for coming. Thanks for joining Tipsy Technologist. Cheers. Mm-hmm. Our drink of choice today is white wine, Kim Crawford. I know for all you people out there, but that's okay. We like it. We're going to enjoy it.
Yes, we are.
Let's start off with a couple fun, breaking the ice.
Let's go.
Things. All right, let's do it. So if Artemis was a cocktail, what would it be?
Artemis, the cocktail would be something bold, something that gets it done.
Okay.
Artemis, the cocktail would probably be the fixer.
The fixer. And what would be in it?
So let's see. Something, tequila is my liquor of choice.
What type of tequila?
Let's go with a reposado.
Okay. Blanco?
No, it's going to be a reposado.
Okay.
So it's let's go to reposado. Let's go with a little bit of lime, cleaning the palate, fixing, and maybe a hint of mint.
Ooh, like a mojito.
Sort of. Well, I guess it's a mojito.
Did I just describe a mojito? I'm like, I love it.
Okay, a tequila mojito.
All right, I like it. I'm down. I can have that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next time we go out, we'll get one.
Okay.
All right. If pharmaceuticals had a mascot, what would it be?
I would say like a woolly mammoth, but I'll go with an elephant.
An elephant? And why an elephant?
So, massive cross-functional organizations, very long knowledge and history, slow to move and change.
Okay.
But if you do it too fast or the wrong way, you can cause major damage.
I like that. That. Okay. And elephants are super, super smart.
They're super, super smart. And remember.
And yes. And there's one thing about elephants that I love. They have that, I watched it on a documentary once. They have a beautiful maternal instinct.
They're relational. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Mm-hmm. I was on a plane once, and I was watching them because they were grieving the baby because the baby got, I think, stampeded.
Oh.
And I was like, and they were, sitting there, and they had to keep moving on, but they couldn't leave their baby. And I'm like, I was so upset. So after that, I have ultra respect for elephants.
And to see them. So I went on safari a couple years ago. I went to Kenya.
Okay.
And so I went to the national park and got to see how they engage. It's just really magical to watch them. It really is.
I bet. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so cool.
So pharma would be an elephant.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I like them. And what is the weirdest thing you ever had to dissect in school?
It was pretty tame, like rats.
Yeah.
Yeah, rats. That's about it. Guinea pig and rats. Nothing weird. Yeah.
I think in my day we dissected frogs.
Okay.
And I'm trying to think what else we dissected. I forget. Maybe I had bones. I always took the skeletal, the brain. I would always have those, or I'd have femurs or humerus. I would have all these different parts. People look at me like, what the heck's in
But I
that?
guess the strange part was I saw them being born. So I saw the mama rat with the babies, and they were little pink things, and then they started getting white and furry with the red eyes, and I had to pick it out from the mama.
How fast? How quickly?
They grow pretty quickly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's within a couple of days or a week they get really big.
Wow.
And then they're like rats that you recognize. And then I had to splay it out,
Yeah.
and then euthanize it and then cut it up.
I know.
And a lot of it was brain cross sections, and I was staining, looking for apoptosis, cell death in the brain.
Okay. And then you would see that at such a young, I guess, age for a rat?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. So testing for drugs that potentially stave off cell death. So it was fun. College,
yeah, I love it. And did you have any funny lab mistakes that you've had that you want to share? Just because it's how many years later? No one cares.
It's so stupid, and it's just moving fast or just trying to work really late, not putting my positive and negative controls in the experiment so you get the data and can't make sense of signal versus noise. Like, duh.
Yeah.
Especially experiments that go over several days. You get the results and you're like, okay, what does this mean?
Right.
I can't compare it to, a positive or a negative control, so I can't make sense of it. And I'm trying to think, probably things in biohazard, the biohazard cabinet, nothing really outrageous, I would say. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Don't worry. I almost burned the building down. So trust me, Chem Lab, it was myself and a couple other athletes, and we all were in bio, but it was a Chem Lab.
Okay.
And it was just, I remember we had the Bunsen burner, and we had the thing that turns it on, but we forgot to turn it off. So here we are lighting things around.
Yes, oh yeah, you were trying to take the whole building down.
Yeah, but we lived. And we didn't kill anybody, but we started laughing. The funny thing is when we realized it, we're like, oops.
Do you know what could have happened?
And no one cared because it's like 9:00 at night.
We're here.
And we're just like trying to get it done. Oh, well, cool. Well, super happy you're here and excited to learn more about your history, how you got into pharmaceuticals and everything. The first thing I'm going to start with is, what's the number one thing people consistently get wrong about the pharma project management world?
One thing that people get wrong is that it's more about the tools and the processes when it's really more about the people.
Okay.
I think in anything we do, if you step back and look at how work gets done efficiently, it's through people. It's through relationships.
Yep.
And so if we can manage, how people are moving through projects, I think it makes for a more, likelihood of success that the project will go well versus focusing on the tool that you're using to plan the project in or manage the risk in or manage the change in. So I would say people think tools when they think, project managers or gatekeepers or, glorified admins. I can go on and on. I don't want to get on a soapbox on this, but it's more if you can work with people and understand people dynamics, that makes for a good project manager.
100%, because you build that trust, you build that rapport, and then you have the systems and the operations that come in behind it. So
because none of that, you won't get to that if you can't get through the person on the other side of the table.
Right. That's very true. So I recall you mentioning you were in Puerto Rico, and you had a mojito or a rum punch or something of that, thing in your hand, and you got that call. So take me back to that moment and what that felt like, and what were you doing? Let's describe that moment and talk about that.
So follow me. So I am at the pool bar.
Okay.
I'm in a high top chair.
Okay.
This is my rum punch.
Okay.
I got a set of wings.
Oh, the best. Boneless?
Nope, they're bone
Okay,
in.
bone in. Flats, or you like the wings?
I'm a flats girl.
Me too.
I'm all flats.
I love flats. I always try to say, can you send the other one?
I probably had some fats in here. I call them fats and flats.
I like that. I'm going to copy you now, fats and flats.
Can I not have fats, please? I just like all flats.
Do they look at you funny?
And I have some fries and a laptop.
Okay.
Why I have the laptop with me on vacation? Oh, Labor Day. We're over Labor Day.
Okay.
Why I have my laptop is a different conversation and a much stronger drink.
Yeah.
But I have my laptop. There is town hall meeting, and the head of our division is making announcements. And I'm just listening in casually with my rum punch and my wings and my fries.
I love it. I love it.
And we know, that there are going to be some organizational changes. Now, keep in mind, I am in the commercial part of the organization.
Okay.
I come from
at Merck, right?
No, I'm not at Merck. I'm at GSK.
GSK. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah.
So I'm in the U.S. commercial organization. I come from R&D. My Merck history, which is where I started my career, R&D. When I entered into GSK, R&D. So that's the world I know. It's a little bit more stable. There are changes. They happen, but I've never been impacted. It's never been close to me, being closer to the science. So here I am, listening for the announcements. No way am I thinking this is going to impact me at all. So I'm on vacation. And so we hear the numbers across the two locations, RTP to the North Carolina area and the Philadelphia area. I hear the numbers, still not thinking anything of it. Then there was a group meeting, my group meeting, slightly after the town hall.
Same day.
Same day. It had been on the books for months. So I'm not making any correlation between these two meetings. So I'm ready to close the laptop. I heard the thing. I'm on vacation, so I'm not planning to join this group meeting, but I do. So I joined the group meeting, and immediately, our executive director says, hey, I'm not going to waste anybody's time. Of the impacted folks, that number that was mentioned in the Philadelphia area and the North Carolina area, our group has been impacted. The entire group is, going to be flattened out of the organization.
Wow.
Big gulp.
Yeah. Take another swig of that drink.
For sure. And I order another. I got hand signals with the bartender at this point. We know each other.
Yeah.
So I'm ordering another.
Right.
And I'm listening, but I'm really not hearing, the rest of the words. And it's still not registering because I've never been a part of an impact. I've never had to be a part of a candidate pool where I'm reapplying for my job. All of that is foreign. Of course, I've had friends that have gone through it. Of course, I've helped them through it, helped them with resumes, crying, drinking, whatever the season called for. But what do I do, in this moment? And so I get off the call and I will myself to continue being on vacation. I'm on vacation.
Did you start vacation at that moment when this call happened, or were you halfway?
I was on for a couple of days.
Okay.
So like I said, why I got the laptop, I should have been in full vacation mode. But like I said, we knew things, were coming down the pike. And for me, it could have meant more projects, like, different ways to engage with our teams. We're not going to be a part of the organization. So here I am, forcing myself to continue and enjoy vacation, knowing that I don't have a job to go back to necessarily. I'm either reapplying for a job, looking for a new job, or figuring out what's next with a rum punch, wings, and fries.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, I can only imagine because just sitting there thinking, I go on vacations, not as much right now, but in the past, and then I'm always connected, and then I always, it's that like leadership, that's like that spirit in you, because you want to be connected, you want to do well, you want to do right by your team, and then you do it, and then you get news like that, and then it just sucker punches, like hits you in the gut. You're like, I was fine over here with my wings and my rum punch.
And, resting, relaxing, resetting, because I think for me at least, one of the things you look forward to about vacation is going back to work recharged and ready to hit it hard. I don't have anything to go back to. So what, I'm just going to be on vacation.
Yeah.
And that was the first vacation where I probably really settled in.
Okay.
What am I going back to? What does that world look like? I think I probably really enjoyed that vacation, so much so when I came back home, I didn't go back home. So I left the airport and went to a casino that I like to frequent that had a very nice hotel with a very nice spa. I really liked the spa.
Cool.
It happens to be in a casino.
Cool.
I just couldn't let vacation end. I just went to another location, made sure that I had a room that gave me access to the spa, and I just continued vacation for a few more days in, Jersey Shore.
Yeah. Okay.
After I left Puerto Rico.
it's a lot to digest, and sometimes you just have to take the time. And this is I know this is the start of you becoming and emerging as your own business owner, leader, and entrepreneurship. But I think it's really important to take that time, because I always forget too. But it's just you're in it, whether you're working for somebody or whatever. You're passionate about what you do.
And I know we'll get to it, but I preach. If
Say
you
it.
are impacted and you have the ability to take a moment, whether or not you got the news on vacation or not, or whether or not you take that moment for vacation or not, take a moment, a couple days, a week, as much time as you can, because there is life on the other side.
There is. There is. And I've been reading some good books. I don't know if you've read Obstacle is the Way.
Not yet, no.
I have so many I can tell you about Obstacle is the Way. I mean, every night or every morning I brought it with me. It's somewhere around here. But it's I'm not a religious person, but it's kind of like my go-to, where I go and I feel impacted in some way. And I go, no, listen to how, Ulysses, the Greek guy, the Greeks did it, all these different people. And I go, okay, they did it. Rockefeller, all these people in different times. It's the same context, right?
Yeah.
And even if it's the pressure is all the same. It's how you handle it.
It's how you handle it. It's how you meet the moment.
Yep. I agree. I agree with you. So, all right. So we go on vacation.
Yeah.
We come back.
We're back.
We continue in a couple more days. Good for you. I like it. And what was your drink of choice then? Are we drinking harder stuff or what?
So when I transitioned to vacation spot number 2, and now it's starting to settle in, I'm probably not drinking as much. I'm a little bit more introspective, and the fear is starting to kick in. Reality that I have to go back to somewhere and figure out the next steps, starting to sink in.
So as you're sitting there and you're thinking, you're in the spa, wherever you are, just, and being introspective, contemplating life, what made you start Artemis today?
So, of course, the easiest and the path of least resistance is to apply for the roles that are available.
Yeah.
When you're impacted in a group, like I was, and your entire group is everybody's applying, for those roles. But that's okay. I've done good work. I've made great connections. So there's that option. I've worked at other companies. We mentioned I worked at Merck. I have those connections. Yeah. I could go back and go external to the company, to GSK. Then there's this little, nudge that why not, attempt to do this on your own? And the nudge did come from, one of my partners, and it's because in our group, we knew that the work we were doing and how we were doing it, I think was pretty unique to the industry. So we were sort of inside consultants, so to speak, in our PMO, our project management organization that we were a part of. But having grown up in pharma and having come from different parts of pharma, the way you translate the languages you can speak, so communicate, so to speak, are valuable. And consultants that we would work with, because we would hire in external consultants.
This
sometimes.
is at GSK, correct? Okay.
This is in our PMO at GSK in the U.S. commercial business. If we would hire in external consultants, oftentimes they didn't know pharma and how it worked, like how work really got done, and you spent some time trying to get them to be productive.
Yeah.
Well, you drop us in anywhere, any pharma company. We don't need to learn the acronyms or the culture or the language. We can just get work done. And that's pretty valuable. So that was an idea that was put on the table. And so the entrepreneurial spirit was already in me. It
was in you.
Real estate. So I had, already
talk about that. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I started investing in real estate, and I felt like my cushy climb up the ladder in, pharma was going to be an investor in my real estate moguldom. I'm going to be a real estate mogul.
Okay.
And you no longer have that income. I'm like, what am I going to do now? I had, within a couple of months, had bought two properties, and now I don't have a job. So I had to pivot that entrepreneurial mindset to very scary to something else. So the excitement, I'll call it, of trying something and investing in something you don't know if it's going to work leans into my sort of scientific background. Let's do the experiment. This is the hypothesis, and let's see what happens. So there's a level of risk that I am willing to take that I think some might not be. And I just had to pivot the mindset from what I thought would be my entrepreneurial pursuits to taking what I knew was valuable inside pharma, outside pharma.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
So for your real estate investments,
Yes.
did you invest in high rises?
I did not. So I was investing in single families because, again, my background, I come from a very poor background, and affordable housing is a problem in Philadelphia and a lot of places. Gentrification and moving people out of homes that they were able to afford. When taxes increased, they could no longer afford. So I just thought I would have, in my legacy pipeline, some kind of affordable housing platform. So I was just buying single family homes just to get my foot in the door. Yeah.
On a side note, I need to connect you with my one girlfriend. She's her name is Twyla, and she started a group out of Richmond. She's based out of Richmond.
Okay.
And she's doing like an impact for the housing community, trying to get outside people to buy into these investment properties for those specific reasons to help mitigate that risk in between. And so I hear it.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what she's doing. She was similar, like in Ohio, and was brought up, similar, with her challenges as well. Not saying you're the same, but just similarly is all I'm saying.
It.
And I think just from a connection too.
That would be good.
I think you guys would be really good because
right,
it sounds like
let's do
it's
it.
like your
housing insecurity.
Yeah, it's a lot. I get it.
Yeah. So let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm going to make that happen.
Okay.
We'll do that. When you were sitting there, when you came back, and then you felt that feeling, that inkling. What was it that said,
so
I'm going to do this. I can do
Yeah.
it, because that's where I'm always like, I'm second generation, right? So
Okay.
my parents started everything.
Ah.
And then now I take over, and I'm just as passionate. I'm in it.
Okay.
But I didn't feel the struggle that you were just describing.
Okay.
Right? Just like my parents described.
Yes.
So I feel struggle in a different way.
Yes.
But I would love to just hear what triggered you?
I'm exploring all the avenues.
Okay.
So I am
Sure.
applying for the internal roles.
Okay.
Because that feels like a bird in the hand. And then these conversations around starting our own thing. So because the whole group was let go, I had an amazing team.
Okay.
My
Yeah.
director at the time, who's now my partner, had the idea. She had just come back from maternity leave. And, she's like,
Poor thing.
I'm not in a rush to, to come back and do anything. And so we started kicking around this idea, a few of us, of starting our own thing and what it could look like. The value that we knew we could bring, to the market. So I have these options on the table: internal, external, what is now Artemis. There was a come to Jesus moment where I had to look myself in the mirror and say, what are you going to do? What are you afraid of? What is making you pause from taking and choosing one of these options? And so I'm really giving myself tough love, literally. I'm looking in the mirror, giving myself this tough love conversation. And I think that morning when I went in, we had to decide whose name was going to go on the LLC.
Okay.
And so it was myself and one of my other partners who were really, exploring the internal roles. And I think we got word that one of the roles, it was going to be her or I. So when you're impacted and there's an opportunity to get a severance, if you're made an offer, verbal, written, or otherwise, your severance is off the table. So if I would have got a phone call saying, Kat, we really like you for this role, severance is off the table.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So my now partner called me and she was like, Kat, it's between you or me. You can have it. I'm going to opt out. I had a half-drafted email saying, thank you for your consideration, but I'd like to be taken out of the candidate pool. I hurried up and doctored that email and sent it so fast, I didn't spell check it or anything. So at that moment, the decision was made. I'm out. I'm not applying. I'm all in on what is now Artemis. The relief you feel when you just make a decision, and now you know which direction you're going in.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You couldn't tell me anything. I sit. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, I think that's a great feeling. I think it's just a lot of the time it's action. It's just taking action.
Taking action.
Whether it's right or wrong, it's action. You're making one step forward. And I mean, I hear you. I'm hit with that a lot
Yeah.
too. And I just go, just one more step.
I was so in. So before we decided what the name of the company was going to be, and you talked about Greek mythology, we settled on Artemis Factor. But in true project management fashion, we had a spreadsheet. We had all these names, anagrams.
How many were on that list?
I think we had a good 25, to pull from: flowers, Greek mythology, anagrams, different combinations of, empowerment words. And we settled on Artemis. And so keep in mind the notification that we were being let go was Labor Day, so we're in September. The Halloween party, and my last Halloween, I went dressed as like Katniss Everdeen. I had a bow, and I promise you, I was all in. So what I told you once I made this.
Did you have like the thing where she pulled it out and then she?
I promise you, I got the photo here. I recently put it on my LinkedIn in honor of our 7th year anniversary.
We gotta look at that.
It is hilarious. I got the whole outfit on with the bow and arrow and everything.
I love it. Wow. That's fun. That's so cool.
You gotta look. You might see it, David. It's not. I posted something for 7 years.
Do you have it?
And I have that.
We gotta look at that.
And it's funny. So one of my partners just posted something today or yesterday, where when all of us got together, the partners, to figure out, are we really going to do this? What's our exit strategies? Why are we doing this? We stayed at a friend's house because we had nothing. We had no laptops. We have an idea, right? And she was in bunk beds with someone else. I was literally in the bed with another one of my partners.
Yeah.
While we're working through what this is going to look like. So she posted a picture of her in that bunk bed, and it gets me emotional, to remember that. I remember that moment. What do you got, David? You got it?
Let's see it. Let's see it. Oh my God. Wait, hold on.
Halloween circa 2018.
God.
I was all in.
I
was all in.
Remember that?
Yeah.
God, I love it. Side note, what's her name drives me nuts. Side note of the movie, she should have ended up with the hot one. I mean, I got to the end of the book, side note, and I was like, wait.
What?
She ended up with, like, the PETA, right?
Right.
No, wait, why didn't she end up with the hot one? Like, she ended up with PETA. I was so upset. Like, this story sucks. I'm out.
Right? We can take, a happy ending where you end up with the hot guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
Why didn't she end up with the hot guy?
I think we're due for one of those. Somebody make that movie.
I know. Where's Jalen? Are you a Lewis Hamilton fan?
No.
Oh, he's a little short for me, but I love his accent. I love his neck tattoos. I'm like, hey. See, I told you we have fun on this. You're totally having fun, right? We loosen it up.
Yes.
And one thing, just speaking leader to leader, and one thing about Lewis is as well, that he says, I know he does not get distracted with a lot of things because he's super passionate, not saying like love or any of those distracts him, but in his mind, that's one thing that distracts him from what he needs to do. But I respect the game in the sense of he knows how he needs to focus to be successful. Yeah. And I think that's sounds like one thing that you figure it out.
That's critically important.
Yeah. Because you got to, because there's a lot of extra things that happen daily. Yeah.
And they come at you and they don't stop.
I know. I know. So, all right, I'll take a step back.
Okay.
And if you want to highlight whatever you want to share, you were at Merck and then you ended up at GSK, but you were doing two different things, right? Because it was two different. I don't know if you want to talk about what that transition was like, how that change was for you.
Yeah.
Whatever you think that would be.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. So I started my career as an analytical scientist at Merck. So white lab coat.
I was like, what does that mean? Okay.
Bench, not Bunsen burner. I was
so you weren't like lighting things on fire like me.
I'm more large molecule. So
you weren't setting labs on fire.
I was not setting labs on fire. Yeah, I wasn't working with chemical entities. To that extent, more biologics, and did that for about 6 years.
Okay.
And then switched from MRL, so Merck Research Laboratories, to MMD, Merck Manufacturing Division, but still in an analytical capacity. So I went from the person developing the analytical assays, where I would transition them to MMD, to the person receiving them.
Okay.
But that move opened the aperture of what I was creating did, where it was going, where the data went. And then the idea of project management, because now I am connecting with the formulation folks and the stability folks and the regulatory folks. How are all these people connecting the dots and the information? And so one of my senior leaders said, you know what, your soft skills and your ability to drive consensus and communicate big picture and actually execute is pretty remarkable. Have you considered? I hadn't considered, but you put something out there. I did consider it. I was not going to be able to do that at Merck, so I left. And again, another risk that I was willing to take.
Yep.
If I leave the lab, which is where I've grown up, which is all that I know, what does that look like? And I leave the company. Who leaves Merck?
I know.
Merck.
I know. A lot of friends.
But I said, you know what? I'm gonna see what this is like. I have leaders that are encouraging me. So if I can't do it at Merck, let me see where I might be able to try this. So put the lab coat down. I'm now in project management, but in R&D and drug development.
Okay.
So I'm still talking to the scientists. I'm still understanding and translating the data. I'm just not generating it. Did that for a year and a half for a small startup company. And strategically, I got to learn some different modalities. So in Merck, I was large molecule and vaccines.
Okay.
So I got to work on Gardasil,
Okay.
which is pretty exciting, and made me feel like a superhero.
Nice.
when that launched. So at this smaller company, I'm working on small molecules and unbranded, generic and 505(b)(2), kind of drugs.
Right.
Did that for a year and a half, full on, project management. Was pretty good at it. I did miss the lab a little bit, I'm not going to lie, and had the opportunity to then join GSK.
What part of the lab did you miss?
I missed the actual creating the analytics, figuring out what this hypothesis might lead to, the not knowing, and then looking at the data and then figuring out where you go next.
That's your mind. Yep. Okay.
But a project is in a different way, very, very similar, especially when you have the people dynamic or you're trying to do something really transformational. You don't quite know how it's going to play out. You don't know, what risks you're going to need to mitigate or what hurdles, are going to come or what the external environment is going to bring. So it's just a slightly different type of exploration.
Okay.
But still, when you're, used to looking at, something scientific, and I just missed it a little bit.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. In the beginning, you already said that there was that misconception about project management.
Yes.
And how it needed to be people and the right people. So
yes.
Go on. Yeah. Talk.
So if you are in a lane, I'll say in very scientific, sometimes it's hard to translate that into project management. And so I had to leave. I had to leave the company to do that and take the risk. But oftentimes when you're in a research capacity, people find it really hard to make the jump. And so sometimes
from research to
project
PMO.
management. Yeah.
Okay.
Even if you have the credential, it's a skill set and emotional intelligence and a way of executing that is trained and learned. There's a credential, there's a certification, and it's sometimes hard for people in the lab to make that jump.
How were you able to make that jump? I know the moment that triggered you, but is there anything more specific that...
Yeah, there was.
There's a lot that we said, but I didn't know if there was anything.
I had started an MBA in project management, so not just getting the credential, the PMP, the project management professional certification, but doing real coursework in all of the different areas of project management. And I was doing that while I was at Merck as a scientist, which it wasn't quite sanctioned, I'll say, because how is this going to help you at the bench? And it's an MBA. So I'm trying to take business classes with a concentration in project management, and I need to be developing analytical assays and tech transferring them around the world. So I had to take the project management concentration first. Like that was the easiest path into this MBA program.
And that's where you met our good old David. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Not yet. No. We're Villanova. No, not yet.
Okay.
And so I'm starting to take the project management, classes first. And that's about a year and a half long program. So I was able to get that through. And by the time I had left Merck, I hadn't finished the rest of the MBA, but that was fine. Mm-hmm. But I was able to take the certification. So now I am at the startup company, certified PMP.
Yep.
And that's pretty much how I did it. I leveraged that I was in a course taking it, and I had recommendations from my leadership and a little bit of project management that I had started doing, while I was at Merck. So I told you the aperture opened now that I'm in manufacturing and I'm seeing where the information is going, all the different groups that it touches and how it gets translated into the regulatory file. But how are these people talking to each other, and who goes first and who goes second? So I was sort of playing that role and testing the waters, like I could do this. I like this, but Merck wasn't going to pay me to do that.
Yeah. So, all right, we talked about Merck, then GSK, and then the moment with GSK, then starting Artemis Factor with the girlfriends and the slumber party, hanging out, girl time, girl talk. And then how did you actually kick it off? I mean, with all your experience and all your different partners, and then how did you say, this is what we're going to solve?
Okay. We thought we could go back into GSK and work on the projects that we were working on. So our PMO did product launches, and we did large transformational projects. Those projects weren't going to go away, because the resources went away. So who's going to do this critical work? Well, if we come back as an entity, we come back as Artemis Factor.
I like that. That's smart. Yeah.
Just, because we hired other consulting groups to work with us. And so we knew there was precedent. We'll just come back and be one of them.
Yeah.
Right? No, not quite. Not quite. So that hypothesis did not play out. Okay. And so we had to get a client. Now we really have to put on the big girl panties and go out and, in Katniss Everdeen fashion, fish, plant, and start trying to land business. And I believe our first actual client was Jazz Pharmaceutical.
Jazz, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
But our entryway into GSK still happened that year, and we're in 2019 now, but it just couldn't be any of the partners.
Okay.
And so that sped up our trajectory. So when we met, we're in the bunk beds and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do and how this is going to go. We had, in true project management fashion, what our year 1, 3, 5, 10 exit strategy goals were going to be. Mm-hmm. So by the third month of Artemis existing, we were in year 3. We hadn't thought about hiring anybody or having any back-end infrastructure. We just thought if the partners could work, we're killing it.
Yeah.
If 1 or 2 of us can get some work, we're killing it. So when we couldn't go back into GSK as ourselves, the opportunity's still there. We just have to find somebody to do it.
Yeah.
So now we got to hire somebody. How do you do that?
Yeah.
So now we had to chase the business. And I think we've been sort of chasing, the business because it will run. And it will outrun you if you don't, try to keep up. So now we have to figure out how to hire, how you get payroll set up, all the things. Mm-hmm. Now you have to keep people employed. So what does business development look like? What are sales targets looking like? So all those big girl grown-up words. Business owner words, right?
Entrepreneurship.
Oh,
you talked about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
My first question is, why pharma specifically needs your exact skill set the Artemis Factor offers?
So our skill set exists within the pharma ecosystem. So project management and leading initiatives requires coordination. It requires somebody that's, watching the watcher, somebody that's looking at the big picture, somebody that can translate that big picture into actionable steps that everyday people can do. So the need exists. Where the differentiator is for Artemis Factor is if you can get someone who knows the lay of the land, knows the people and the dynamics and the culture and the acronyms, they can hit the ground running and be impactful, efficient, effective a lot quicker than if you hired a newly minted MBA off the street.
Nice.
And we enjoy it.
Yeah.
We enjoy it.
You seem like, I know. You love it. You love it. So it's you and how many other females run the organization?
So when we started in those bunk beds or sharing a bed, like I said, I was sharing a bed.
I love it. I think that's like, it's like, I love slumber parties.
There was 5 of us. There was 5 of us ready to, conquer the world. And we all we were in different stages, in our lives. We came to Artemis from different vantage points. Like I said, me and my other, one partner, Shannon, were contemplating the internal roles. Yep. My director, now partner, Tara, was like, I'm out, got my baby. I'm
she just came back from
Yes.
maternity, right?
And then we had 2 other partners that were a little bit more senior and tenured. And they're like, we've seen this rodeo before. We're in. And we all had different, exit strategies and what we wanted, from this. Some of us just wanted to do the work that we had been accustomed to doing on our own terms with people that we want to work for and work with. Others of us wanted to see if we can grow a business. Mm-hmm. And when you have those different frames, how far you go and what you're willing to do, could change. So we started as 5. After the first year, we had proof of concept. So we have, a couple of clients that we won. Mm-hmm. We're in GSK with, staff now. We're at year 3, approaching year 5, and now we're in 2020. Mm-hmm. We need new BD targets. We need to grow. 2020, we need to scale. Maybe we get a brick and mortar. Where are we going? Then March of 2020 hit. So let me pause before we get to March.
Sure.
Once we start talking about new BD targets and how we're going to grow, 2 of our partners elected to just join us as employees. Okay. And not grow the business anymore. So we continued as a 3-woman company. Okay. Bought them out, continued as a 3-woman company, and decided what we were going to look like as a threesome.
Yeah. Love it.
March hits and the world shuts down. So what does this mean for Artemis?
Yeah. Unexpected accelerator.
Yeah.
So what?
Amazing accelerator.
Mm-hmm. Good. Mm-hmm. How so for you?
So pharma is concentrated. It's on the Northeast. So you have the Pennsylvanias with the Mercks and the J&Js. Mm-hmm. You have the New Jerseys with the Novo Nordises, and you have the RTP area. Yep. And you have the West Coast.
Carolina. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So prior to COVID 2020, you're going into the office. Yeah. So you need to live where pharma companies are. Mm-hmm. Now that we are virtual in COVID land, our employees could be anywhere.
Right.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And so again, this aperture effect, this opens aperture for talent. So now we have talent in Colorado, in Texas, in Florida. Mm-hmm. We had one in Hawaii. Nina was in Hawaii because work could get done from anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so we exploded.
That is really cool. And how did you handle the back-end infrastructure? And infrastructure from IT perspective, from security perspective, from just the basic employee benefits, right? And
chasing. Again, so chasing, like, okay, how many people do we have now? Do we get laptops? Are we on virtual desktops with our clients? So a lot of it depended on the client types we were supporting. Because pharma is highly regulated and a very sophisticated industry, oftentimes you have to be in their systems. So they supply the technology. But how do we secure, from even a rules governance-based perspective, how we engage? Right. Payroll increases, legal increases, tax, all of it increases. And we just had to look at what we had and how many people it could support, and if we needed to rejigger up our game in any of those places. Yeah.
Wow. All right, let's have a little fun. Let's have a little fun debate.
Okay.
And I want to, you mentioned before that there's as we already know, in the industry, in the pharmaceutical industry, there's a lot of layoffs that are actually happening right now. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned before that you believe that could be the next wave of entrepreneurs. So talk to me a little bit more about what you meant by that.
What I've been seeing. Okay. Because, like I said, we have a soft spot for impacted folks at Artemis.
Yes.
Artemis was born, from impact. Exactly. Yep. So, as we're counseling people, consoling people on, what could be next. A lot of people are leaning into entrepreneurship. The first thing they think about is not my next gig in pharma, which is very exciting. Long gone are the days where you're going to have a 30-year career at any one, pharmaceutical company. So the gig economy and doing different types of work lends itself to consulting. And then you have, I'll just call them the sandwich generation, for lack of a better term, where people have spent quite a bit of time in pharma and have learned a lot, have a lot of tacit knowledge, but they've been through a lot. They have battle scars, and if they're impacted or they have the opportunity, they don't want to jump back into the big machine right away, but they still want to contribute, and they want to do valuable work and to be valued in a culture that works for where they are, in their life. And I think consulting also works and or entrepreneurship lends itself to that.
It's interesting that you say that there's a lot of people who want to become entrepreneurs. And I go back, I inherited a business. So it was a very different perspective. I honestly sit there and think, thank goodness my parents established a lot of things before I even got there.
But the pressure to maintain momentum, now you have to build and grow. Whereas if you start something and it doesn't work, that's the risk you take. But you have something that's working.
And it's a lot. And so that's why when you just mentioned that, I just sat there, I'm like, wow. I think entrepreneurship is great, but I do believe, and I don't know, but the generation coming in just feels like they don't get it, And I listen to my young little nieces and nephews or cousins, and I go, okay. You just been handed everything your whole life. And granted, I was too, but my parents threw me in there, and then I had to figure it out. But
so they don't get it. We are, of Artemis, of two minds about it. Like, technology is moving so fast. Business is moving so fast. And if we get a chance, I wanted to make the distinction between entrepreneurship and business ownership. Yeah. The younger generation has a way of working and a way of thinking that I think some of us need to make room for it. I applaud some of it. Some of the, we had an employee. Yeah. And we're client facing. Yes. Sometimes you have to meet the clients where they are when they're there. And so if we have to do internal Artemis, level setting, sometimes it has to be around the client's schedule. Well, I had one employee, just flat out tell me, I don't work before 8 or after 5. And I'm like, somebody do something. I'm the one of the founders. I don't know who to. I'm like, what do I do with it? What do I say? What do I do? Flat out, I don't. I know. And so it's protecting your mental health and your psychological safety. Yeah. I would never, to the owner of my company, I would never. And so I didn't even know how to respond. Wow. I'm like, somebody say something. Wow. So it forces you to take different perspectives and adjust your leadership gauge when you have, a multi-generational workforce. Yeah. And things coming at you that you would never say, so you don't even know how to respond to it. Boundaries. Yeah. Rigid boundaries. Right.
What's your thoughts on the project management space is still too male-dominated?
That's very interesting you say that, because we had a talent conversation at the top of the morning, and all of the folks my head of people interviewed, if you look at the Artemis team, there are a lot of women. And I think that might be intentional on our part. I'm not sure. We are not a woman only company. We do have men that work for us, and we do look for talent in whatever gender, shape, form, color it comes in. But we tend to be heavy on the women.
Interesting. Okay.
But project management and pharma, depending on the levels you're in, tend to be more males.
Okay. A lot of the things that you mentioned earlier about the impact and what you want to do and change in the industry and how you want to help. Is there anything that you think that's missing to push more females in the industry? Is there anything that you think there's lacking?
Women tend to solve problems that we find for ourselves. So there is a wonderful organization, Women of Project Management, that I became a part of last year. So that's the conference that I was mentioning that I went to in July in New Orleans. Specifically to bring more women into the industry, and it's into the project management industry. So it is outside of that industry agnostic. You can have pharma people, financial people, tech people, because all of those industries are still the very regulated industries seem to be male dominated.
Very much so.
And women feeling comfortable in those spaces, feeling competent and confident in those spaces, oftentimes takes community. And it takes
community.
Folks recognizing that they have blind spots, and sometimes you can't see that unless you watch someone else, in a safe environment. And so this organization is very safe. It will give you the guidance to get your certification if you don't have it. Do, example projects with, someone that's a seasoned project manager to test out the waters. And it's just a reminder that we can do this. We can be bosses at doing this. We can support each other and not tear each other down and do this. And it's just refreshing. So I think we create the spaces and the organizations and the support, we need so we can see it to be it. So you have a whole, room full of women, some aspiring, but, most of us that are in practice and have been, some of us that have translated that now into businesses, and we hire people and train people and companies. So Artemis, we have a feeder program. It's called the Apollo program, so the brother of Artemis, where we bring in young talent, oftentimes no pharma experience, fresh out of college. And the feeder to our feeder is our internship program. Oftentimes they're juniors or seniors in college. Then they matriculate to the Apollo program if they want to. We've had 2, so far. One is now our very first Apollo apprentice, and our second Apollo apprentice, I believe, just got promoted. She's a full-on project coordinator, I believe. And so the ability to bring young women, could be men, like I said, we're not women only, into pharma and then into project management, 2 industries that it's just very hard to get into, period, is gratifying. So businesses can create spaces. Women create organizations.
That's where you go back to your community, that culture.
Community.
Yeah. All right, well, let's have a little bit more fun. We're going to have a fun game to play.
Okay.
What's your biggest rookie mistake that you shouldn't, that's funny to you, or maybe not? What was one of your biggest mistakes that you did? It was just so rookie and amateur.
So our business, Artemis Factor, is very relational. Our work often comes from people we know, people we've worked with. It's still that way, to this day. We don't do a lot of heavy marketing. And back to, friends and it translating into business, you can blur those lines and get too comfortable with, folks that are friends that you're now, looking to do business with. Very rookie mistake. Just not keeping tight boundaries on, now I'm going to put on my friend hat. Literally, now I'm going to put on my friend hat, or now I'm going to take this off and put on my business hat. And I had to have a good friend point that out. Hey, you are blurring the lines here a little bit. Rookie mistake. So keep business.
Wow.
Keep the friendship personal and know where those lines are.
One of my biggest rookie mistakes, let's think about it though. That's one that I do now, and that's why it's hard. And that's one of the challenges that I mentioned to you over there, where I have friends who I have to beg and ask for connections for. And I have to keep pushing them, and then it feels uncomfortable because I go and sit there and I'm like, yes, we got comfortable, but I should still be able to ask them and help me because I help them. So why can't they help me?
And they might. So that feeling, and this is a gut check that I have to do with myself, is that a self-imposed feeling?
Yeah.
Because we don't want to ask for help. We don't want to ask for help, but you have to sometimes, and you think it should just come naturally. But folks think we have it all. We know it all. We can do it all, and we don't need it, is what I found. So a good friend of mine said, you have not because you ask not.
Yeah.
So I sometimes got to get out of my own way. I told you what I have to do. I tell myself this story, and then I make it easy for people to help me.
Yep.
And then I prove out the hypothesis. I could be right. I could be wrong, but I have to put myself in a space where, of course, they would help me.
Yeah.
Let me just make it easy for them and see how the experiment goes.
Yeah.
A lot of new entrepreneurs do not understand the tax game.
I mean, even
I'm not going to open. I told myself I'm not going to open wormholes,
sales tax, or like business tax, or all types of taxes.
All employer,
all the taxes. It's a lot. It's stuff that you don't think about, and you're like, oh wait, New Jersey tax, Pennsylvania this,
goodness.
and like Delaware no tax. I agree with you. And then government no tax for the people that still charge you tax, and you got to go figure it out. It's a lot. Those are annoying business problems. I would say one of my biggest rookie mistakes, which comes out in my story with Bo, is I was maybe 2 or 3 years into the business. And I remember it was a food company out in California. And we were offering help desk support services for them. So basically like help desk support. My computer broke down, blah, blah, blah. We need help. I remember that the contract was supposed to be $12 million per year.
Okay.
And I quoted them $1 million per year. And I didn't realize till I got home. I know. Look at your. I know.
Row.
You know, like big F-bombs, like, you know, everything. But I owned it quickly. I was like, oh shit, like I can't do this. I mean, there's no way I can do it. And yeah. And so, you know, I think we lost the relationship with the business partner that we were working with. On that. We lost the relationship with the client because when the client went, oh shit, like you're billing from 1 million to 12 million. They're like, wait, 1 million per month? And I go, yeah. I have no clue what I did. It was like the most rookie math mistake ever in my life. Yeah.
I'm sitting with that. Yeah.
Right? And my parents even sat with me. I remember telling them, and they weren't pissed. They were supportive, and they were like, well, what are you going to do about it? I'm like, well, I'm going to have to tell everybody, my bad.
We're doing pro bono work.
Yes. And luckily, we didn't sign that contract.
Oh, good.
We didn't sign it.
Oh, you're just the relation. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, good. All right.
So the job never went through.
Okay. One of the earlier rookie mistakes was thinking we could just go back to GSK. And this would be that simple.
Yeah.
Built-in business.
Yeah.
Let's go back.
Yeah. Not thinking your non-compete and everything else would affect you, right?
We're a different company. I was like, oh, no. Katrina is not coming back. Artemis, fact.
Yeah.
Didn't work out that way. But it worked out how it's supposed to work out.
Isn't that beautiful? But while you're waiting for it to work out, you're like,
wow. No.
What is this uncertainty that I'm living in? Because that sucks. So looking forward, where do you think the future of pharma talent will lie? Because layoffs are increasing, and you mentioned earlier that a lot of them are going to entrepreneurship. Where do you think?
I think more personalized medicine, closer engagement with the patient.
Okay.
So a lot of, patient support and patients advocating, for themselves and their medical treatment with the rise of technology and AI, and everybody, has a doctor in their pocket if you just go to ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever your AI guru of choice is. Closer, more attentiveness to the patient, whether that's in supporting them or in the medicines we create for them. So I think the talent has to bridge the gap between personal connection and technology.
Okay.
There's always going to have to be a human in the loop.
Always.
But I think we are going to need to figure out how we leverage technology and meet the needs of patients as they become more savvy. I just talked to someone who's starting a company where the drug clinical trial approach, in hindsight, once it plays itself out, didn't have the right endpoints. AI probably could have predicted that. And you would have went in a different direction with that clinical trial. You would have resourced, and the money would have went differently. And so he's starting this company because the drug that we're talking about, and I worked on this with him, it went under in COVID. Like you couldn't do the clinical trials fast enough to get the information to know the endpoint was off. All of that probably could have been done through modeling. and technology, and you didn't actually have to run, some of the experiments. You have some drug interaction and you create different versions of a molecule to see how, they interact together. So I do believe we could probably start doing drug discovery outside of biology, outside of chemistry, with technology, with everything that we know. I mean, COVID proved it out, albeit we were using data that had already existed, but we could get to a vaccine quicker because we were leveraging information that we all already had. So just imagine you have a disease state, you have, let's just call it a receptor. You know what that receptor looks like, and you have an agonist or an antagonist, and you can see how it fits together through technology.
Around the culture about hybrid versus working from home or working in person models, what do you see the future? How do you see it happening in the next few years?
So the talent conversation, we had someone, say, I would love to join Artemis, but I really need in person. So Artemis is hybrid right now, and depending on the clients that we're supporting, we could either go, on client site if need be. Artemis does not have a brick and mortar right now. So it was very interesting to have someone, explicitly say, I don't want to be virtual. I prefer to go into an office. So if you have work where that's amenable, then that's what I would prefer to do. I think some people, the real extroverts, of the bunch, are missing that engagement and that interaction, that person to person.
I agree. Yeah.
I think we're going to stay hybrid, but I do think we probably 60-40 back in offices. Clients are requesting it, whether it's cultural or they just want butts and seats because we have empty buildings. There were interactions and experiments and accidental engagements when you're in the office, things that that only happen when people are around people. So we're missing that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a motto. Did you want to share your motto?
So let's see. Mine personally?
Yeah.
That is, I probably say it a couple times a week, whether I'm talking to an employee, talking to a client. Sometimes I got to remind myself that don't forget how brilliant you are. And it could be other industries, but pharma can beat you down, and you could forget how much you've contributed to the industry. Yeah. And you might need to be reminded of how brilliant you are and how much you contributed. So, and women in particular, sometimes we need to be reminded.
We discussed a lot today.
We did.
We did.
We had fun.
Yes.
Did you have fun? I thought we had fun.
I thought we had fun.
Okay.
Yeah, we could always have more to drink, but that's okay. Yeah. But we have responsibilities. But I learned a lot more about, what triggered you into entrepreneurship, which I think was great, and how you are very passionate about creating a team and the camaraderie and the culture. And I think that's important. That's so important. How you have your motto about just reminding people about how brilliant you are and stick with it. And I think that's great. Like leadership skills, I think that's awesome and empowering for our future today. And I think that's just a lot where I try to resemble very similar qualities into our business. Our team is still small, but I'll have to look at David and say, hopefully I do, because my other one's not here at the moment. But no, we did. We definitely tried to. And then even personally, it's a lot. Like you have to push yourself every day. And one thing I realized today was, I don't know about you, but I constantly face this level of fear every day. Every day, maybe like 800 times a day, to the point where I feel even bad that I feel fear, because when I talk to people about my fear, it puts people, because people care for me so much, it puts them into protective mode, and then they get defensive with me. I'm like, why are you yelling at me? And he went, well, why are you getting mad at me? He's like, I don't want you to stop thinking that. He's like, go drink some wine and get a massage and go chill out.
Love it.
Like literally. And but you need that, people. But you need to be able to be honest and talk to people, because fear is hard.
I was at a conference, and I think it was Fawn Weaver, the CEO of Uncle Nearest Whiskey.
Okay, yeah.
talking about
it's a black-owned whiskey, right? Yes.
Talking about fear.
Okay.
And she was talking about it in the midst of going through a very controversial point with her company where I think it was going to be taken away from her. Publicly talking about the fear of that. And what she said was, a lot of the fear we feel is failure. But it's not even failure. It's deeper than that. It's being seen. Like, if no one knew you were trying to do something, there would be no fear. You couldn't fail. No one would know. People knowing is what really is driving the fear, and that thinking that you're a failure because someone saw you and it didn't quite go the way you thought. So I took that, and that fear of failure, I took the fail and I've reframed it for myself. And it's another way that I make decisions. Fail for me now is freedom.
Okay.
Abundance, impact, and legacy.
Okay.
So I'm living to fail. I'm living to fail. I'm leaning into those versions of the letters versus the fear-based failure model that a lot of us get bogged down by.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. See, I want to read it to you because I think I was just looking this up earlier. Fear has two meanings. Forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And it was funny because I said that, and the choice is yours. And the one thing that my mom said to me was, she goes, "You already did it. You're already up and rising and going for it." And so I think, like you just said to the women or to everybody else, you're brilliant. You got this. Like, just empower yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're already doing half of those things.
Yeah.
You know?
And it doesn't get easier.
Yeah. Yeah. But you got to get used to those little scars. And, another group guy that I work with is always just like, all right, it's a scar. Move on. Like, you just got it. You got a little nick. You got a little bruise. All right. You feel it for a day or two, and then you keep going.
Get some wine. Get a massage.
Yes, I love it. Eat some good food. Eat a steak. Eat a piece of fish. Whatever you need. Anyway, I'm sure. Hopefully I didn't kill that. But, all right. Well, cool. Well, Kat, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
I had such a good time.
Hope you had a good time, and we learned a lot about you. And
I did. Yeah. I don't think I learned enough about Frontier Technologies. But,
okay. We'll talk more.
We can.
We'll go get a drink.
We should. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That's going to wrap up today's episode of Tipsy Technologist. Big thank you to Katrina for sharing her story, her insights, and a very real look at what it takes to build something meaningful, especially when the path isn't linear. I get it. If today's conversation resonated with you, whether you're navigating change, building a team, or just figuring out your next move, know that you're not alone and that growth often comes from the moments you didn't plan for. Thanks for spending your time with us. We'll see you next time on Tipsy Technologist.